Welcome to How to Retail. I'm Ryan Edwards and today we're in Christchurch and we're about to go and meet Brett from the Rockshop and KBB Music. Let's go and see him now.
I'm Brett Wells, Retail Operations Director for Web Group, which encompasses two major brands being Rockshop and KBB Music, and I've had the good fortune to be part of this business for 33 years.
What got you into music and then into music retail?
I got involved in music because I actually started life as a farmer. I was a market gardener and I've got an honours degree in commerce from Lincoln University, and started playing music as a side hustle really, and to get away from driving tractors and planting crops for Watties and what have you, and discovered a real passion for retail and a passion for the industry, and it overtook any plans that I had to be involved in horticulture moving forward. Got involved in the music scene and just went from there really.
So Brett, tell us about your business.
Started in 1986. The managing director, Mick Webb, who's still involved, came across from England, saw a very protected, very constrained industry and brought some of his sensibilities from business in Europe and the UK to New Zealand and set about shaking the business up. We had an ethos of stack 'em high, watch 'em fly, basically, and the prevailing view at the time was that the business would never succeed. It was an old boys network, and here we had this guy coming in from overseas to tell us how to do things differently, and it's worked really, really well. Fast forward to today and you're sitting in the number 30 branches for Rockshop here in Papanui and Christchurch that we opened in September last year, post-COVID. Bit of a bold move, but has worked really, really well for us. In the ensuing period, we basically built a branch every year. Through the GFC, through good times and bad times, we just had this strategy for growth and development. We oftentimes got invited by the musical communities in various areas. It's, oh, why is there not a rock shop in our town? So we'd go and have a look and go, sure, Gisborne, here we are, let's do some business. We never set out with a strategy to get as big as we did. It just happened organically. It's not a franchised business, we wholly own it, which makes us quite agile and able to make decisions really quickly.
For such a big business, how important is staff to the Rockshop?
Staff are everything. We can't do it without the staff that we've got. Really importantly, we've got 257 staff currently, and we're actually actively recruiting at the moment. So we're on a big growth phase again. But 100% of our retail staff are musicians, and that is just critically important to the business. You wouldn't buy a car off someone who didn't drive because they couldn't share that experience and the passion of that experience with you. And that's the fundamental of our business. Now that does make it difficult because musicians are essentially creative people, and creative people don't necessarily make the best salespeople. So we've got this tension between creativity and having to make sales in order to pay the bills and keep the lights on. And I think we've got the balance pretty right. We have people who play death metal, country music, singer-songwriters, electronic dance music, DJ stuff. We've got producers, we've got anything you care to mention in the music community, the creative community, works in our store somewhere. And that makes for a really diverse and inclusive workforce, and that's key. So no matter what level you're at, who you are, how old you are, our youngest is 14, a young woman that works in this store in fact, our oldest is 75. What a wonderful experience to come in and talk to somebody your age, interested in your music, interested in your genre, or even if you're not, you can still talk music. You may see the staff for New Zealand Music Month are wearing "We All Speak Music," and that's, I couldn't think of a better tagline for the business. We all speak music. Young, old, in between, makes no difference.
How do you make KBB Music and the Rockshop a great place for people to come into?
We think about ourselves and talk about ourselves as a clubhouse, and a clubhouse can be interpreted as being exclusive. We prefer to think of it another way around, a clubhouse where all are welcome. If you're 5 years old and embarking on your journey to be Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters, then you're welcome, and we'd love to see you, and you come in and we've got somebody that you can talk to about that who shares that enthusiasm. I said before, our oldest is 75. He's still an active gigging musician at 75. The managing director of the business is in his 70s and is a lead singer in a band. So our clubhouse is, if you play music, we all speak music, come on in, we want to spend some time with you. And a clubhouse also takes away that pressure of selling, lots and lots of our clients come in here just to hang out, just to talk about music, talk about their gigs, share their experiences. And if they buy something while they're here, well, hey, we're a retailer, we're in business to sell stuff, but that's not our sole function. Part of our function is really to encourage that creative community and to have a sense of community and a sense of belonging. This is your place, you can just be who you are.
With so many people on staff, how do you go about making sure everyone's happy?
Being involved in a business where you have an affiliation with the product that you're selling is obviously a big draw card. We've become a lot more flexible in the hours that we offer and the options that we offer to staff. We went through the process for a long time of having lots of full-time people and not a lot of casuals and not a lot of flexibility in the workplace, and that doesn't really work for most musicians. They've all got some other side hustle. They teach or they're gigging or they're touring. So we had to learn and adapt to accept that that's what the creative community is like. I mean, at the risk of a bad pun, it's a gig economy. Musicians are gigging, it's a gig economy, and they want something that gives them some stability to pay the rent and buy some groceries and fill their van up with gas so they can go and do a tour to Timaru. So we've had to be a lot more adaptable in the model that we run for our recruitment. As we've gotten bigger, of course, we've got a lot more options for people as well. So you can actually have a career in the business. We offer Service IQ training, so you can come in with no qualifications at all and get all the way up to branch manager level at our expense and get trained to be at that level. We've got product managers, we've got a whole lot of divisions within the business that people can go, oh, I don't just have to sell guitar strings or drumsticks or whatever my whole career. I can go there, I can go there, I can work in the education side, I can work in the house of worship side of things, I can work as a product manager. So size has its advantages in terms of options, but fundamentally it comes back down to understanding what a musician is and providing an environment that works for them.
How much of an impact was COVID on the business?
From a positive perspective, COVID brought a lot of people back to playing music. I've lost count of the number of times over the last 12 months people have come in and said, if we have another lockdown, I'm not going to be without a keyboard, a podcasting microphone, a means to record, a guitar. I've always wanted one of those, and we've sold more high-end product in the last 12 months than we had in many years previous. There's more money floating around in the economy, you can't travel, you've already done your bathroom up, you've bought a new car, if you can get one. What's next? Oh, I've always wanted one of those. So there's been a lot of that sort of vanity purchase, if you like, or an aspirational purchase. But it's really reinforced the importance of music as a hobby, a release, a means to create for a lot of people. So a lot of people have returned to the market. It really impacted us for the customers of ours who are professional musicians because gigs died, everything went. Even on a personal level, I play corporate shows primarily in Auckland. That whole scene's completely gone. So that's just wiped that income out of my life entirely. But do I still play? Yep. And do I still buy gear? Oh yeah. And musicians are all the same in that respect. So that's been a really positive, but it has been very difficult in terms of meeting people's expectations about delivery of product, access to parts, all that kind of stuff.
Did COVID have an impact on supply chains at all?
Absolutely it has. During COVID, when we were doing no sales at all, we made a very, very concerted effort to look after all of our suppliers. We paid all of our local suppliers on time when the bills were due, and we paid all of our international suppliers on time. Strategically, that was to make sure that when lines of supply did open, we could get whatever we wanted as quickly as we possibly could, and it's proven to be the case. Subsequent to that, of course, material costs, freight issues, the fact that COVID is still rife around the rest of the world has really limited a lot of our key suppliers where they are using either contract manufacturing or some places are still on lockdown. Some of our supply partners in Europe are only working at 50% capacity, and our lead times have blown out enormously. We've had a number of our key suppliers coming back to us and saying they're not going to be able to provide us key product lines through until 2022 or even 2023. So that's really provided a significant challenge, particularly amongst the custom and high-end instruments where there's long lead times for manufacture for those anyway. So that's something we're really struggling with at the moment. Having said that, we've been very fortunate after many decades in the business to have developed a really extensive network of suppliers. So we're able to switch some key SKUs amongst other suppliers who do have the ability to provide us the product that we need. So that's been a real advantage and a real strength for us, and that comes from years and years of actually developing really solid relationships with your suppliers and manufacturers.
So Brett, how has the online presence of Rockshop and KBB Music changed over the years?
We've had an online presence since about 2004, so we were into it fairly early, but at that particular point in time it was considered more of an experiment than a substantial part of the business. Fast forward to now, it's a very significant part of our business, and it's supported by the retail stores we've got. And I think that's one of our key strengths, is you can showroom something online, you can buy it online if you choose to, but there's a Rockshop or a KBB Music within 3 hours of any major centre in New Zealand. So most of the time for significant purchases, people will actually choose to come to a store and check it out. So we do an awful lot of click and collect through our website, probably more than others that we know of in the business. And that's a real advantage for us. But everything that we have available in the stores is available online, and we have a pretty effective and efficient system at getting the logistics sorted out and getting it to people as quickly as we can.
And what's next for the Rockshop and KBB Music?
For Rockshop and KBB, there are no more big mountains to climb, but there are plenty of things that we can still do better. So we're in the process of rolling out a new website using the latest technology to improve automation and speed up our delivery and service to our clients. We haven't finished opening retail stores yet, so that's still an opportunity for us. The KBB brand, we haven't really spoken about that too much, but that traditional side of the business has actually really exploded for us, and we're looking to incorporate that more and more as part of the overall offering of the Rockshop and KBB Music sites. So there's still plenty to do.
You mentioned how KBB Music has grown. How has KBB Music benefited the Rockshop?
KBB is jazz, classical, it's your more traditional stuff. It's your brass, your woodwind, your strings and your pianos. And we were concerned when we bought that business in 2010 that it would somehow dilute the Rockshop brand and make it a little less edgy and a little less cool. What we found was entirely the opposite. KBB has enhanced the offering. It's a softer brand, if you like. It's given us access into schools and houses of worship that we otherwise wouldn't have got. I mean, if you're a head of a music team in a contemporary church, a visit from the Rockshop's probably not as welcomed perhaps as someone from KBB Music from their education side. What we found is, you made a comment, oil and water don't mix, and that's what we thought, that classical and rock and roll wouldn't mix together, but in fact they have. And if you look out in the wider music space now, there's so much crossover. You've got two cellos. You've seen those Italian guys playing cellos and playing AC/DC on cellos. That's what I'm talking about. That people will come in and look at a piano and buy a guitar and get an electronic drum kit for their games room. So KBB's given us a much wider scope of people we've reached out to, and has enhanced the product offering and softened the rock brand a little bit, made us a bit more accessible. We get a lot more families than we used to get. We get a lot more mums with kids coming in. We're not as intimidating as we once were, and that's been a real positive for the business.
So Brett, what's your one piece of advice for people looking to get into retail?
Understand fundamentally what your purpose for getting involved in that business is. My story is that I got involved in the music business because I wanted to make it better than it was. I wanted to give all of our customers a better experience than I had as a young person interested in music. I understand fundamentally what our music business is there to do. It's not what we do, it's who we are. And that informs the sense of purpose that I have about every day at work. And I'm able to translate that passion, highly overused term of course, to the people that work for us. When they come here, they understand that we are, yes, a retailer, and we've got things to sell, but we have a strong community function. We provide a clubhouse for people of all musical tastes and interests to come in. So it all boils back to understand what your purpose is and what you're setting out to do. And if you get that right, everything else flows from it.